Hello, in this video, we'll pick up where we left off yesterday, and we're going to test the fit of our cribbage pigs and our cribbage board, and we'll evaluate which one we should use based on how they fit and how they look. So here I got my welcome screen. You can see I've been helping a lot of kids, showing them how to get that cribbage board downloaded. We're going to use this in just a minute, but I'm actually not going to open up the part file. What I'm going to do today is come up to my new section, and then I'm going to go over to the second option, an assembly file, and click on that. And I'll wait patiently for my computer to work. Well, I got in 2 sips of coffee while I was loading that time. So now that we're into our assembly file, I need to come to the upper left-hand corner here, and I'm going to click the Place Components button. And this is where I can put in the parts that I want to assemble. So remember yesterday in my Woods folder, not my IED, better get in the right class here. In my Woods folder, I took and I saved those 2 cribbage pigs that I made. I called it Pig 1 and Pig 2. Right? And you can see if I just click once on it, it'll give me a preview of what that object looks like. So I'm going to put Pig 1 in first. I'm going to click on Open down here. And then you can see it's letting me drag this cribbage pig around on my screen. I want to actually put 2 of these in to test their fit. So after I click once, I'll click again with my mouse. And you can see Inventor keeps giving you the option to place part after part after part. Once we've got 2 on our screen, we can go ahead and click Escape. All right, then we'll go ahead and we'll click Place again. And I'm going to do the same thing with Pig 2. All right, we'll drop a couple of them onto my screen, and then I'll click Escape. And then finally, I need to come in here and find my cribbage board. And I think I've got a bunch of those in my download file. So I'm going to drop this cribbage board in here. I only need 1 of them. And then I'm going to click Escape. So what we want to do is we want to see, how these are going to fit in the holes that are machined into the cribbage board. We also want to make sure when they're sitting in 2 holes that are adjacent or right next to each other, they don't interfere with each other. Sometimes the decorations on the top get really big. They look cool, but they don't work too well. So we want to make sure we've got both form and function working for us here. So we're going to come up top and click this Constrain button next. On the Constrain menu, there's a bunch of different assembly constraints. There's actually 5 different types here. We're going to go to the 4th type, that's Insert, and we'll click on that. Now what I'm going to do with my mouse is I'm going to roll in, and you can pick any 2 holes on here, but I'm going to roll in on this hole right here, and I'm going to hover over it until I can get the wireframe showing me the bottom circle part of the cylinder for this hole, and I'll click there. And now I'm again using my mouse, and now I'm going to roll in on one of these cribbage pigs, and I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I'm just hovering over my cribbage pig until I've got the circular shape on the bottom and the center line showing up. I'll click on it. You heard that little noise it made, and you can see it's inserted one of these cribbage pigs into that hole. And so this is the part that I always forgot when I was learning. You'll probably do this a couple times. We got to click Apply before we can go on and add more constraints. Now I can also, click on these parts and I can kind of drag them around with this menu open. Some people find it useful to just shut the menu and then come in here and kind of drag these cribbage pigs out of the way before they add more constraints. It's up to you how you want to do it. So again, I'm going to go Insert, come over here. I'll hover on my cylinder till I get the bottom circle on the wireframe. Come over to my cribbage pig. I'll do the same thing, and you can see it dropped it in. All right, so this time I'm just going to click Apply, and then I'm going to go on and repeat the same thing with my red cribbage pigs. Ooh. And I think because they were the first one I dropped into this file, it actually spun my cribbage board to match the profile of those red cribbage pigs instead of moving the pigs. Okay. Not a huge deal. Just meant I needed to go back to my view cube and move things around a little bit. Right? I like what I see, so I'm going to click Apply. And then I'm going to come and we'll do this one last time with the red pig on the opposite side. And again, it looks good, so I'm going to click apply. I'm going to close this window. All right, and then I'm going to come up here to my view cube. Oops, click off on my board. And I want to spin this around, right, so I can get kind of a side profile and see what's going on here. So what I'm noticing is these two gray pigs, they're the same height. I might have constrained one of these two red pigs the wrong way. I think this pig here maybe didn't get put in as deep as I wanted it. So if I click on the pig, I'll highlight it on my model bar. I can come over here, and if I highlight this one, I can kind of see where that little blue horizontal line is, how deep it goes. That looks like what I want. So maybe it was a second pig. Perhaps I goofed up. So I'll click that. It highlights pig 2-2 or 2:2 over here. And then I can check that, insert. And it does look like that one's in a little bit deeper. So I'm going to right click here and say delete on that constraint. And so again, this is my constraint that I just right clicked on to delete. Now I can drag this red pin around. So I'm going to take my view cube and just move my cribbage board around a little bit here. And I'm going to go back and reconstrain that. Now, hopefully, if you've already got this done, you've sped your video up to full speed, and you're not listening to me, or double speed. All right, nope, just trying to get this moved around so I can get a good view of the bottom wireframe on that hole. Sometimes this part's the trickiest part. There's my top. There's the bottom wireframe. All right. And now if I come back in and check this out, I can see both of those red pigs are at the same height. So I'm going to click apply. And we'll get this screen off of here. All right. So now what I can do is I can just kind of visually inspect it. These are inserted, but you'll notice like with these square ones, I can take and I can drag them and kind of spin them in circles. So what I'm noticing with my square design is these two are hitting on each other. They're interfering with each other. They're getting in one another's space. That could be an issue depending on how you want to use it. It looks like we can kind of spin it this way. I can spin this one and get those edges parallel and they're not going to interfere. But that might cause some issues when we're playing. So something I want to think about as I go on. Now if I come look at it from the side, I can see I've got some space there. I'm not sure why mine keeps zooming all the way out. I might have to dig into that issue eventually. Now if I come back in on these two red pigs, I can see I've got some space in between. It doesn't look like they're touching each other. And since they're circular shaped, they're never going to interfere with each other. They're as far out from their center point as they're going to get. I can grab it and spin it, but that doesn't really affect its placement in there. And so then the last thing I want you to inspect is we're going to go up top here to the Inspect tab, and we're going to analyze the interference. So it says define set 1 and set 2 in my menu here. I'm going to click on the cribbage board for set 1. And then for set 2, I'm just going to come over and I'll click on one of my cribbage pigs. All right, then I'll click OK. And it says there was no interference detected. So what that means is this red cribbage pig fits perfectly inside of this 1/8" hole. That's a good thing. So I'm going to click OK. We'll come back here and we'll check on this cribbage pig. So we'll click the cribbage board for set 1, the cribbage pig for set 2. We'll click OK. All right, now this time it says a total interference of, that's a really, really tiny number of cubic inches. All right, so this decimal place should actually be over 4 spots. So like a 10,000th of a cubic inch of interference was detected. And you can see that red showing up, and it looks like the red is the cone-shaped tip of that bit. So I think when I placed it, I constrained it to this shoulder, not the tip of the bit, and that's why it's sticking down in. So they both fit nice. Now you just kind of got to choose. If one didn't fit, that would make your decision a little easier. But you got to choose now which one you want to 3D print. Okay? I think I like the look of these pigs with the ball on top, so I'm going to go with that. All right, so what I'm going to do is come over here on my model bar. I'm going to double click pig 2 of 2. Right. Now, if you look up top here, you'll notice my toolbar has changed a little bit. I actually went back into that part file where I modeled this up. So now what I want to do is go to File. I'm going to come to Export, and I am going to export this as, oh, they've changed the look of my menu here. I'm going to come down to Print then. We'll try it a different way, and we're going to go Send to 3D Print Service. Okay, and this is just like doing a file save as, and it's going to save it as a .stl file for me. And so I just want you to check that your scale is at 1. Come over to Options. Make sure your unit is set to inches. And we could change the resolution because it's a pretty tiny piece to high. And then we'll click on OK. We'll come down to the bottom of this menu and we'll click OK. This is saying, where do you want to save it? We should save it up here in this Woods 1 2020 file or whatever file you're using for your Woods class. But along with its name, I'd like you to take and add your name because you're going to turn this into me. And then when I send it to the 3D printer, I'll know who these pigs belong to and I can keep them sorted out afterwards. So let's go ahead and click Save. Now, because we use that Send to 3D Print Service menu option, this page Inventor will load for us and it's got some 3D printing services on here. We don't need to look at that because you're going to send it to me. We're going to use the 3D printers in our classroom as the 3D print service. So one last thing here. I've got this assembly file open. I don't really need to save it. I just wanted to put things in this environment to test their fit. And so if you wanted to come back to this file, you could save it. If you're happy with your results, if you've converted one of your cribbage pigs to a .stl file, we probably don't need to be in here anymore. So I can just come down to the bottom and say that I'm going to leave without saving, and it'll bring me back to my home page. So that's how we test our fit between two parts in Inventor and how we can convert files to .stl files, which are the files we'll use to 3D print. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got your assignment done. And if you have questions, please ask.